We got some songs to play for you. If my leg pops out on stage and I fall, it's because I'm injured.
I'm riding around like a ghost. I'm searching the night as it cruise up the coast.
I'm Nate Lee, and I'm a local musician / rapper.
Those days that I try to forget, I'm making my place. It gets Russian roulette.
Scene in Kelowna is pretty good. It's fresh and young. There's a lot of new artists coming out right now that are kind of unheard. So it's a really hungry scene. There's a lot of people competing with each other, trying to be heard.
And baby, I've been trying to tell you every single way. What's you missing? Diamonds flirt and they glisten if they're talking.
I put a lot more thought into it than I feel a lot of other artists do. More pensive and thoughtful than most rap music that's coming out these days. And it's kind of more emotional than the average rap artist's music.
And drop the topic and I chase it and I'm writing in the basement on my own, yeah.
I started playing music when I was young in church. I taught myself how to play guitar and piano, and then I sang. Originally I started rapping as a joke, but people just kind of kept telling me to rap and make music, and so that's what I kept doing. And
you don't want no smoke, you played up. I'm not your bro, and it's straight up. If it's not so slow.
Writing specifically is something that Nate has used as an outlet for how he feels. He's a deep thinker, always has been. You know, I remember just reading his poetry in grade 3 and thinking, oh my gosh, is this boy seriously only 7 or 8 years old? It was pretty incredible.
Well, Nate and I kind of like grew up together skateboarding and stuff like that. So like later teens or even earlier teens, man. But like eventually he just messaged me one day because I was like kind of curious about getting into music, and he actually like dropped me off like my first microphone and like audio box, which is super crazy. And then I feel like from there it just kind of like got a little bit bigger, you know. We worked a little bit closer and yeah, delved into like a fuller friendship, you know. We were both just making, you know, trash. But you know, it developed into something a little bit better, and I feel like we both like definitely like stepped our game up a little bit.
See me looking, you're hoping you could explain to. So what do you tell you, man? So what do you tell you, cause I see your art and it's feeling.
I feel like people can relate to my music, and if they listen to the lyrics, there's a lot of young people especially that are going through some of the stuff that I talk about in my music, so that's kind of why I do it.
About junior high, he decided he wanted to be a skateboarder, and when he decides he wants to do something, it's unrelenting. So he just worked at it constantly, and you know, he just kind of pursued that career and did really well in it, and quite quickly, which is not unusual.
I'd been skateboarding for a year, and I tried to get sponsored by some local shops, and I got sponsored. I got sponsored at a best trick competition, and I was warming up and trying to skate over a 10-stair handrail, doing an ollie over top of a 10-stair handrail, and I landed weird and I broke both my legs at the same time. I broke my leg. I broke my right growth plate and tore my ACL, my MCL, and a bunch of other stuff throughout my leg. And I'm still waiting to I'm actually just about to get surgery for all that right away. Good. Those injuries were life-changing for me because my whole life, whenever I've done something in my life, I've always given it 100%. So skateboarding, when I decided that's what I wanted to do, I went for it 100%. And when I broke my legs, I realized pretty much within minutes of having broken my legs that skateboarding as a career was pretty much most likely done for me. And that was heartbreaking for me, and it sent me into a downward spiral for multiple years.
Kind of seeing him fall into his injury was a little bit heartbreaking, just because, you know, that's something he loved kind of ripped away from him. He can't even really walk properly anymore, you know, so that definitely like really puts a damper on things, especially when his whole life was skateboarding at one point.
It not just affected him physically, but emotionally, and also his friendships were all wrapped up in that lifestyle.
I lost my sense of purpose and a sense of direction, and I started hanging out with people who also had lost their sense of purpose and direction, and we started feeding off each other. Well, for me, the center of my addiction was always alcohol, and I pretty much just always wanted to be messed up so I wouldn't have to be thinking about what I was going through at that particular time.
Nate started drinking, I think that he liked initially the feel of you know, kind of casting off all his cares, which I said he was a deep thinker, and it was kind of nice to not have that burden of care.
Nate's drinking kind of hit a peak like a couple years ago. Like, we would always be together, you know, like for the most part, just drinking together, and it was like that party scene, you know.
I used to get arrested all the time. I got put in the drunk tank countless times. I've been arrested more than 10 times, and I've been drunk every single time. My friends and my family are always extremely faithful to me. They stuck by my side even when I didn't really deserve it. When I was going through my crazy period, a lot of people saw the real me underneath it all, and so they stuck with me regardless of how I was acting at that time. And I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them.
You know, when you see your kids going through hard times, it's those times where you have to choose to love. And sometimes love is tough, sometimes it's not. And I would just really, honestly, I had to pray and ask God, this situation, how should I respond in this, you know, and I really had to lean on that wisdom and try to figure out where Nate was at.
I realized I just wanted a different life. These days I haven't drank for 7 months, but I just didn't really want it in my life anymore. I like my life without it. Got more out of my life without it. Primarily being locked up changed my perspective, and once I got out I wanted to be different. Everything kind of started to turn around once I had a purpose and I had something I wanted to be doing with myself. Music really turned things around for me.
Alcohol, like, definitely had a grip on his life at certain points, and you know, it takes a long time. Sometimes it takes people a lifetime to finally realize that, but just seeing where he's at now, like, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, you know, seeing like good talent not wasted.
I think it can be difficult to be doing music and try to stay sober at the same time, but when you've been through as many troubled situations as I have, it's easy to see what is right and what's wrong for yourself.
His story is just beginning. He was such a great kid growing up, and it was hard to see this, you know, gregarious, fun-loving kid at 15 who just loved everyone really struggle. I think every mother would say that they couldn't, you know, they're proud of their kids. But I think for me, it's not when kids are perfect or when they're doing everything right that you're proud of them. I believe that the best part of who you are is when you've stumbled and fallen, and when you decide to, the next step you take after that. Those are the proud moments for me as a mom, when I see Nate rise to the challenge and honestly break through into things that I know that he can do and he can accomplish.
Keep it there. Thanks, guys. You guys are nice. So I'm really excited for this next show. It's been a couple months since I played a show, and I'm excited to see how many people come out to this one. I get really anxious before a show. I'm always worried, no matter if the crowd's small or big.
I think music was his, like, religion, so to speak, you know.
After something like this, I always feel rewarded and a little bit enlightened too, because you get a bit of everybody's perspective on your art. So it's rewarding, for sure, yeah. For a long period of my life, it felt like things were hopeless, and I realized slowly but surely I was breaking through, and that I could make a difference in not only my life but other people's lives. You know, I broke through all of it. I made it out the other side of that darkness, and it's an incredible feeling.
Trying to reach you, got your paycheck, love you, yeah. Look around the house, wasn't got so faded at the shop.